if you really look at the scale of the universe, we're tiny as hell, man. We are
We're tiny as hell,
we
dude.
are our
Exactly.
galaxy is tiny as hell.
Yeah.
Our
Yep.
galaxy.
Yep.
I mean, it's really incredible when you really think about how utterly massive the cosmos is. And then, you got people theorizing, yeah, what's beyond that?
I agree. What's beyond? There has to be. How can it just end? I mean, how you're traveling in the universe in a spaceship and you just get to a wall, you can't go anymore. I mean, this doesn't
Yeah,
make any sense. But then I think, how can infinity be true too? Everything just goes forever. Like that's also mind blowing.
this is like
I
this is welcome to the late night conversations I have with my wife Tracy. Like this is where we
Yeah.
go.
Oh, me too.
We
Me
have
too.
fun
My
with
wife and I talk about this kind of stuff too. Like, I mean, this is why I love this topic so much. Is I may be very skeptical of things and maybe not just jumped in, the boat of believing, we have been visited on this planet. But I find the conversation so fascinating because these are realities that even if they haven't been proven now, I think they're real at some point. I mean, I don't think we're alone in the universe, like at all by any small. I mean, I think life is teeming through the universe. We just haven't found the right capabilities to see it all. And then the question becomes, okay, have we been visited here? Well, there's a ton of cases going back, so long, just like you mentioned before. And I even find cases that start from like pre, 1900 and before, because you can kind of get rid of all of the arguments of, it's a psyop, it's a government cover up.
yeah.
There's this, there's that, right? All those filters that can get in the way of,
Yeah.
well, how come
And
there's so
there's
much
a few
stories
good
going
ones.
back so long,
There's a
right?
few good ones from the 19th century, and I do have those in my first volume here, and they're valuable for that reason.
Yeah,
It's a handful compared with what happens later. I think there was a
sure.
big jump during the Second World War, but there are some good ones that you got to take seriously, and I try to make them as clear as I can in this book. So I agree with you. Like you got to wonder who are these people? Yeah, the
Who are
mysteries
they?
of the universe. So I mean, look, this is one of the most fun things,
So
and
it's so fun.
I like the fact that I'm not smart enough to figure it all out. I like the
I
fact
agree.
that there's some mysteries out there that I'm never going
Yeah.
to get to the bottom of.
For sure. I mean, that's life. I always say I don't want to know everything. I always want there to be another corner that I don't know what's around that corner. Like
You
I,
know,
I want that.
Whitley Strieber, who I love Whitley, and he's a very smart man, and he's very deep. He's very philosophically deep. And one thing, of course, he's a contactee or he's an abductee, or at least that's what he has always said for years. Um,
Yeah.
and one thing that he said, I've never forgotten this. He's talking about the mind of the visitors, as he calls them. And he said at one point, it's like they have a mastery of space time in a way that we do not. And he strongly inferred or stated that they can kind of work outside of what we call time, so that there's no surprises for them. And he speculated that they get a kind of vicarious pleasure out of following we humans, because we're working our way through time, and each moment is the new unexpected surprise. And it's like they can't really get that, according to Whitley, but they can
Sure.
at least vicariously experience it through us. That was one. I don't know if that was a theory of his. I don't know if he still believes that, but he wrote that at least 15, maybe almost 20 years ago.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, that's an interesting thing. Yeah. I just don't want life to get boring, whatever that is. I don't need to be. We always say an advanced, higher intelligent species, and we'll wrap up here, Richard. We always say an advanced, higher species, but I think advanced in what ways? Just technologically? Like that's what advanced higher intelligence means. You've advanced in technology. But what about there's so many aspects to life that maybe people don't advance it. Why is that? Why can't you be super advanced and highly intelligent, but you still have spears and create fire with rocks and live in caves? Why isn't that advanced?
I'm going to read you a
But
quote.
religiously, spiritually, you're more advanced, and
I'm going to read you a quote from Ivan T. Sanderson. I pulled it It's at the end of my introduction. I'm pretty sure I can just get this. And
Love it.
this is really good stuff. Sanderson, he wrote back in 1970. He wrote the first true USO book, and he was a beautiful writer. I mean, I really love his writing, and he did a good job in his research. Not perfect. He's working in the 1960s. It's hard to fact check everything, but he did a good job. So back in 1970, Sanderson concluded his very excellent book with these words. I'm going to read to you, which I have in my book here. It says, that they may be endlessly varied would seem to be an eminently sensible concept, and that some of them live in the sea is no more balmy a notion than that some of them live in the sky, in inner space, or on other solid bodies in outer space. Given that much technical command, they could live anywhere or everywhere and move about instantly or faster anywhere throughout space and or time. Then he says this is what made me think of it, what you said, that they are for the most part over civilized and quite mad is, in my opinion, an open-ended question, but quite probable. Perhaps we will never be able to cope with them until we too all go quite mad. And it looks as of now as if we are doing our level best to achieve this presumably enviable estate. We're all trying to go mad. I love that, this idea of hyper advanced intelligence, but giving you a kind of a madness in certain ways. Like, are they actually sane by the standards that we would hold? And that's a really good question. What are their motivations? Are they serving the algorithm just like we are learning to serve the algorithm? I bet they are. I'll bet they are. Their own version of it. Sure. Their own kind of, because we have to serve our system, the system that we've created, the system that allows us to have Zoom calls across, StreamYard calls across the world. Like, there's a system in place, and you got to play by the rules. And the world's got to play by the rules to keep all this system in place as it continues to evolve. And we need to continually adapt to serve it. And I'll bet 10 to 1 odds that's what they do. And they've gone quite mad in the process.